Hello, welcome to We Have Issues, episode 7. I'm Anthony.
7. I'm Steven.
And wow, this is number 7, Steven. We're doing this.
We are doing this, and we're getting like random fans that we don't personally know. It's awesome.
It is pretty interesting. I don't know who's listening to this. If you're listening to this, first of all, thank you. You're amazing. Second of all, we're sorry. But
especially for my voice. Oh my goodness. I can't imagine people listening to my voice for like 40 minutes. But
I feel like I think we all have that issue with like the vibrations in our skull, and we just it sounds weird to us, you know. So then hearing ourselves recorded, I think I've gotten used to it over the years of just recording different projects and doing silly voices and stuff. That being said, yeah, I feel the same. I still hate my face. Like I can't. It's ridiculous. But yeah, I think it's really funny. Like you said, people we've never met or have no connection with have been contacting us about sharing comics and how just things that they enjoy about the podcast in general, which is really cool because I didn't know who the audience would be or if there would be an audience or just us playing like laughing with each other and like with crickets. But
yeah, for our own records, people. We're gonna watch.
Pretty much. Well, okay. We both kind of said that since we have kids, this is going to be kind of a fun record for our children to look back on in the years and just be like, oh, look, that's how our parents did that thing that they did. Which is really neat. But I kind of assumed that if we were to have any audience whatsoever, even like one person, I imagined it would be someone who's either laughing at us because they're like, haha, we're better than you, which like, that's fine.
I watch this to boost my own ego.
Exactly. Which we're here for them.
Totally here for you, buddy.
Yeah. You're right to feel that way and you're welcome. But what I didn't expect was any audience of people who have no connection to comic books.
Whatsoever.
I didn't.
Or to us.
It's
hard enough. Some of my best friends don't even know my name. And Stiller. So like it's hard for us to see strangers.
It really is. It's
absolutely it's different.
It's really cool though. So how was your week? Did you get sidetracked by anything? Did you make your goal? What was your goal? What was my goal? What were we talking about?
My goal.
Who are we?
What are we doing? What was I supposed to do? I was trying to do Rogan and then lost it mid. So I don't know what I was doing. That was a little better. Anyways, so my plan for this week, because of how much workload I took with that Reddit drawing, was to at least get page 2 done. And honestly, I didn't think it was going to happen. I had like plans today that ended up falling through. Huh. So like they fell through. I was just going to rough 2, 3, and 4, but instead I got finished roughing page 2. So I went ahead and fine penciled it and it's done. So page 2 is done.
What? This page 2?
This page 2. I don't think that's ever going to not be funny to me. Like the awkward, edit spot for Anthony.
It is. I don't know. It's fun because it's one of the only things I know how to do with the editing program.
This is the extent of my editing skill.
I have no editing skills. Okay. So the whole part of this podcast, a large part of this podcast, is talking about the issues we have with creating the comic books that we're creating. And this podcast becomes an issue that I have that gets in the way of creating the comic books we're creating. Because
I'm soaking up 90% of the time.
Oh, yeah. This is just a podcast about podcasting at this point. No,
this is a podcast about how you shouldn't have a podcast while making a comic.
Yeah, pretty much. Learn from us. Don't do what we're doing. No, but honestly, it's actually been working because it's keeping us on track. Even with the additional efforts of the additional responsibilities of editing, I've been able to finish all of my writing. I sent you chapter 3 and you read it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, chapter 3 was difficult.
Yeah, that's the rough chapter, I believe. Yeah, there was some soul crushing stuff in that one for sure.
Yeah, we talked about this.
I'm on page 2 and like it's already getting rough, man. Like the artwork is getting sad.
Yeah, we talked about this a little bit. Traditionally, or like historically, all of my writing always has just very heavy, very strong comedic, just some character who's there to save us comedically. Someone who's always there, like when it does get hard or dark. There's always someone there who's like punchy with their dialogue.
The Gaffigan guy, the Gaffigan voice. Yeah.
And I've always written a character like that. This is the first thing that we've worked on, and I think the first thing I've ever worked on that's pretty straightforward, like drama. And I know there's going to be some levity to it, and some of it's definitely going to be exciting at times, but I don't think it's ever going to be hilarious, which is really hard for me because I it's a crutch. It's a real big crutch, but I love it. It's because it doesn't feel like a crutch. It feels like wings when you're using it. Like when you're reading something and you're like, oh, this is literally funny, and I'm laughing. And you see someone laughing, the response makes you feel good, and it's great. I don't have that at all this time, and I'm terrified. And yeah, so we talked about that a little bit. But yeah, that chapter was definitely the hardest one to write. Yeah, chapter 3.
What's crazy for me is like I've heard like bits and pieces. It's obviously something that you don't recollect often, like out loud. So like I've heard bits and pieces, but like these are like literally putting me in these situations that you were in, and it's like, man, like because it's one thing to be told a story, but it's another thing to be told a story through the person's like direct perspective. Like, yeah. This is what I'm feeling while I'm saying this. This is while I'm, like I'm reading you in that moment, or at least how you memorized yourself in that moment. And
right.
It's heavy stuff for sure. Thank God I got years of practice of putting that emotional shield up to where I don't let anyone in. You almost got me.
It almost got me. Oh, I'm not going to feel anything today. Not today, feelings.
Not today.
But
Terry Crews? It was Terry Crews, I think.
Yeah. Oh well, first it was Mr. T, and then and then he asked for permission from Mr. T to do it in the sequel. I'm pretty sure Terry Crews.
Oh, awesome!
I think he got the blessing. I'm pretty sure that story's right. I think I'm right here. He's like, "Get back in there, T." That's what you're thinking about, right?
Yeah.
It's okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, dude. It's so crazy to me because you're right. I haven't really recollected that. I haven't told that story really to anyone directly. Not at length. I mean, I've told like fragments of it to people, but it's.
I remember you telling me that line, and I'd actually forgotten about that line. I won't say it, but like I had forgotten about that, and then when I read it, I remembered when you told me about that, and I'm like, ugh.
Yeah. Okay. So my fear with this is that the thing that literally happened to me that I actually experienced specifically reads like a crazy melodrama, like that, like my Voldemort. So Voldemort said a very specific thing to me that was so on the nose and so heart-wrenching and specific and painful that it feels like it's straight out of a soap opera. Right?
It was like season 2 of Degrassi. It was like
exactly. Yeah.
I got you. But yeah,
but I'm putting it in there because that is what happened. It is what I heard. It is what she said, and it was the worst. It was the worst thing that anyone's ever said to me. It was terrible. So, but it's what I experienced. So I put it in there, and I'm super insecure about it. Like it's
heavy in the podcast. Just putting it out there, but yeah, no. I wouldn't be insecure about it. I feel like it reads pretty strong. I didn't think it was lame, but obviously I'm like your number one fan. So, but no, I think it's good.
Yeah, I do think that's funny because it's we've talked about like how strange it is for you to draw me and what I went through and stuff. It's the first time we've ever tried to do anything like this.
This is like second level like. Forcing someone to live your life.
Yeah, Steven.
I'm gonna write this book, so Steven, you have to experience my memories. Like I'm literally living the book. Like that's what's happening. I'm the character, really. At the end of the day.
Oh, Steven. But thankfully, your love story ended a little bit better than mine.
Quite a bit.
Yeah. So. Actually, speaking of that,
it's a minor skip, really, in the grand scheme of things. It felt like an eternity when it was happening, but it's nothing. So
yeah, of course. I guess that's always how it is. Like even my huge breakup, the thing that we're making this whole book about, is so behind me at this point. Like and which is part of you're writing the book, and you tell that story, and it's gone, thankfully. I'm ready to be gone, ready to be done with it. I'm ready to tell new stories, basically. I'm ready to live new stories for sure, not necessarily to date. That would be a mistake. That would be a sincere mistake.
It's been a mistake literally every time it's happened since, so.
Okay, that being said, though, let's just put this out there that dating and love and relationships in general have to be the most optimistic thing humans do as people. It has to be love. Like, it has to be looking for relationships. And, like, you can take the cynical perspective and be like, oh, well, people are afraid to die alone or whatever, But the truth is, like, every other thing that we can be conditioned to or, like, that cultivates some part of who we are, it's, if it, like, when you're young, if you touch something that's hot, and you're like, oh, I'm not going to touch that again because I learned my lesson, I can literally have my heart ripped out through my eyeballs and be like, guess what I'm going to do again? I'm going right back there. These eyeballs.
There's literally not a single other thing in the world.
No, there's not. There's nothing else. I'm like, if I was drawing and someone was like, gonna chop those fingers off every time, I'd be like, I guess, first of all, I can't draw. Yes, I can. I'm not going to take that attitude. I'd be on my bionic fingers, but I would stop drawing. I would, like, if someone slapped you, ooh, that was loud. If Rafiki slaps you, right? Like, you stop doing the thing. You duck instead, right? Rafiki teaches you that, you learn lessons. Unfortunately / super fortunately, humans are terrible when it comes to love and learning lessons. We're like,
I'm going to suffer. I'll suffer my way through it. It's going to be good.
It's going to be great. This time, despite all the evidence to the contrary, this one's going to work.
What's the worst that can happen? I don't know. The worst feeling you could ever feel in the entire world besides death? Oh, that's nothing.
Oh, that's nothing. Oh, what? Emotional, spiritual death? Nah, not the same. It's good.
Not the same at all. Because emotional, spiritual death, you have to live with it. The other death is just over with instantaneously.
That's right. What is much worse, Stephen? But yet we keep doing it. So, speaking of love, though. Okay, speaking of love, you are a romance and relationship expert.
I guess. Tina and I are basically Marshall and Lily, like almost to the T, because she broke up with him for a summer too.
That's true. That's really true. Like,
I mean, we literally have the Marshall and Lily story for the most part.
Yeah, in our world of How I Met Your Mother, you are 100% Marshall. Like, it's really amazing. Like, you and Tina are just this beautiful, amazing couple. Which makes you an expert in love. I mean, one and done. That's what you said. One and done. That was you did it basically. So either you're just incredibly lucky, or you're incredibly lucky and doing something right. So that being said, since you're a relationship expert, by your own admission, you said it. I didn't say
my own admission. I don't consider myself an expert in anything
except for romance and relationships,
and relationships,
marriage and love, and sex. I've heard from Tina. She said it. She
doesn't kiss and tell. I know
it was her and Sloan Kettering. Just talking about how good you are, man, Stephen. So, okay, but that being said, because of your expertise, which are renowned far and wide, we have a couple of questions from listeners about your amazing expertise. But before we get to those, you want to cue up a commercial for us, Stephen?
Yeah, hold on.
Commercial time! Hello. I'm here today to help a friend achieve his most seemingly unattainable goals, to reach for the clouds. I'm here today to ask for your assistance in helping a desperate, pathetic man who wants nothing more than an ostrich. What would you do if I told you that in order to help someone achieve their most fanciful and ridiculous goals, all you'd have to do is push the like and subscribe button below? What would you do if I told you that this man wants nothing more than to begin a colony of ostriches? Ostriches that grow upwards of 7 feet tall. Ostriches with legs like kickboxers. Ostriches that you can ride upon like chariots. Ostriches that may do battle with one another. This is the goal of my friend Steven. It is his purpose in life, and I'm here, friends, today to ask you to help me help him. What would you do if I told you there was a man who needed you? And for the small fee of 2 small button pushes below, you can help him achieve his dreams of being an ostrich cultist. I mean, what would you do if I told you that I am not being coerced into saying any of this? What would you do if I told you in order to help him achieve his goal, all you have to do is push the button below? What would you do? For the small fee of only 2 button pushes, you can help a pathetic man achieve his goals. For the small fee of the occasional share, the weekly like, you can help a man feel like a Superman. I mean,
and it's 100% true, ladies and gentlemen. I was kidding.
It is true. Help us. Steven won't work until you get us those ostriches.
I won't.
All right, so let's
Age 2 is where I stop. I was kidding.
Well, guys, we have 2
comics. It's where I draw my line and place my head in the sand until I get my way. See what I did there?
I saw what you did there with the ostriches and the head in the sand thing.
That we're not even certain is a true thing about it.
I'm pretty sure it's a myth, but I think we should
it's a myth
stick
too.
to it. I think we should just be like, that's what they do, guys.
You do know we're gonna have a sand pit when we have the ostriches, and we're gonna scare them right when they're near and see what happens.
Okay,
and that's how I die, ladies and gentlemen. Scaring an ostrich.
So if nothing else, please like and subscribe our podcast and tell your friends and your grandpas. Just so we can an ostrich.
Just we're too heavy on the grandpa love. Sorry, we have to switch it back a little bit.
Since you're a relationship expert, back to the questions. I have a few questions for you. This one says, here's a question many people worry about. How do you know if moving in together is the next step and is the right step?
Tina and I moved in together probably like 2 years into our relationship.
Were you basically living together at that point anyway?
Basically, I mean, I think once you get to that point where you're spending the night, 4 nights, 5 nights out of the week at each other's houses anyway, what's the point at that point? You're already living together. And for me, it wasn't even that much of a shift in our relationship whatsoever. I mean, it didn't really change any variable of it. Like, it was just like, we just see each other more. At that time, though, I do remember, like, I was, like, really playing World of Warcraft then.
Yeah.
And that was definitely a lot of fighting, because now that she was living with me, there was time that she felt she was deserved, because we wake up next to each other, so like you're already here and there's no waiting period for her to come over or me to go somewhere, so it kind of like shined a light on that monster that I had. And then but other than that, like, I don't know, you'll definitely know. I mean, like, how would you not know at that point? Like I said, I think the spend the night thing is an obvious sign, and then like just the amount of time that you already spend together if you're already doing that.
How did you? So okay, Tina had an issue with you playing too much World of Warcraft, right?
Oh, dude, it was like 16 hours a day at that point.
I know it was disgusting.
It was disgusting.
I know it was a lot. But okay, it definitely was a lot, and it's definitely too much. I understand, and I'm with you. But how do you know how to keep that balance between, when you're living with someone or thinking about living with someone? Because you should still be able to do the things you love to do as a person, right? Like, you can still to this day play World of Warcraft. So, like, we still get to have the podcast, So, for people who are just moving in together and like finding that balance, like, was there anything that helped you guys talk that out, or like, determine?
Especially like as of lately too. Like, when it comes to like our arguments, we try to be like, when one of us starts to get too like maybe emotional or like hyper defensive, we try to we try to acknowledge those moments as they're happening and dial it back, because we know at that point either myself or the other or Tina is operating in like like a raw state that's not going to be helpful no matter what. You know, they're not going to be able to receive anything, and they're not going to put out anything that you're going to want to hear. So it's important to like. It was so hard for me because I'm the type of person that needs to like finish an argument or finish a discussion, then get it done.
Me too. I'm really bad with that.
But Tina definitely is the type that needs to gather her thoughts, gather her feelings, and then say what she has to say. And it's taken a long time because we have such completely different styles.
Yeah.
But they both have their benefits too. Like, for example, I will not go to sleep angry. It doesn't matter. Like that's the thing where she's given me, like she needs her time, but she'll never take, I'll talk to you in the morning.
Yeah.
You know, she's reasonable on that front. That's her sacrifice to me. You know what I'm saying? So like, yeah, I think it's very important to acknowledge like once the escalation starts, because once the it's the trickiest part of the argument. It's the trickiest part of the discussion to notice, because it's like right when it starts is when you can stop it. But if it by the time most people notice it, they're already halfway in it. So it's really just noticing when the escalation is beginning, acknowledging the escalation, pointing at it, like make sure it's known that like, hey, neither one of us wants this escalation, and operate in like an understanding way as best you can. You know,
that's smart. Yeah, those moments are really tricky to navigate. And because that moment of escalation you're talking about, I've definitely recognized it before. And I know depending on the person and like the relationship with the person, sometimes the argument can become about that escalation and how it happened and how it was worded, instead of actually what the confrontation was initially about. And so then you're just death spiraling about you're arguing about arguing and how to argue, and then what was right and then what was said, and then sometimes people's memories get in the way, and then people don't remember what they said, and then you don't know, you know, so you're fighting about fighting in the worst and silliest way possible. That spiral is really hard. So recognizing it, like you're saying, is
for sure. And like Tina, for example, in those spirals, like she's like she likes a direct. I'm like, you and I are both storytellers, and she's a direct person. She wants to hear 5 words that sum up everything. And I want to sit there and tell her, you know, 3-passage or a 5-point essay. Basically, I'm like, why I think this and this and that. And that just basically aggravates the situation. So I've learned to basically try to keep my points short and sweet, so that way it's delivered in the mode that she understands. And that's all. It really all comes down to communication. Like that's so important. And like, I think, and this might be like, I don't know, this might be like judgmental, I guess, or I want to say like sexist, but it's not like sexist towards women, but like more so men. I feel like a lot of men don't put in that emotional investment or that communication investment. They'd rather just keep it short and sweet. And I think it's just how we kind of are raised and just kind of the way our minds work sometimes, you know?
Yeah, I think it's really important. Like basically what you're saying is you and Tina found a way to speak each other's languages and kind of like evolved a language together in a way.
Basically. Yeah, that's a better way to put it than I just did. Like,
but I get it. And I think that a lot of people, myself included, like have trouble when a language that someone else is trying to speak with them doesn't harmonize with their language necessarily. You know, like so every once in a while, like I've been in a couple of relationships where I communicate so differently than the person that I can't even speak. I can't understand how to communicate the very basic issue that we're having to the person, you know? And then, so, you know, and I've tried, and so sometimes that's just like an incompatibility issue, you know, just like way different people who probably shouldn't have been together in the first place, you know? But yeah, it's definitely tricky and it takes work. And I'm glad you and Tina found a way, of course, you know, to speak, you know, find that language together and cultivate that in a way that's, you know, useful and meaningful to you guys. It's, you know, it's amazing and beautiful, and that's why you're an expert. Oh, someone below that asked, because I said, basically you're a happily married person, and someone asked, okay, but is the other person happy in your marriage? So like,
Tina is absolutely obsessed with me.
It's actually true. It's actually true.
It's like,
he's not joking.
I'm not even being a jerk about it. Like, this is just the truth. Like,
yeah,
she like is absolutely like.
Okay, hang on. One day we have to have Tina on the podcast to explain how she met you, if she's willing, because Tina, I don't want to say it for her because it was hilarious and adorable. But Tina was very obsessed with Steven from the very beginning, and it was basically the best thing I've ever seen, like ever watched in person that wasn't written for TV. Like it was amazing.
She straight up told my sister, "I'm gonna marry him someday." Like it was like something about marrying. Like I'm gonna marry that girl someday.
Yeah, it was beautiful. It's amazing, and that's why, like, when you guys had your hiccup and stuff, it was so hard. It was so hard to watch, and I'm glad it was as brief as it was. I know for you, it didn't feel that way. But and then you guys got over it, and now you're amazing. You get to be Marshall and Lily. So I know she's happy too. But I figured someone asked, so I figured I'd let you say the thing.
But to answer that question, because I mean, in my situation, I have the fortune. I'm in a fortunate position where I personally know I will never end the relationship. Like I have no intentions of ever doing it. That part of my life is solved. I've hunted, I gathered, I'm good. Like this is where I'm at now. And so like knowing how she feels about me, of course. I mean, since the breakup did shake my confidence, but it's definitely back now. And like but for someone that like, I don't know how you like, yeah, I get that question. I get that fear because I was thinking about that too. Like if Tina passed away young or something like that, or something horrible happened where an eventual relationship would have to happen for me again. Like, I don't know how people do that. How do you like give that? Because like, that's something that Tina even had to earn for me for so many years, is that last piece of my heart that basically, that last piece of you that once you give it to them, it's you're going to die if they do anything wrong. Like, a lot of people,
I don't know what you're talking about. But I don't know what it could feel like to give your whole heart to someone and think you're going to be with them for the rest of your life and then not be with them for the rest of your life, even though you wanted to, and things just went bad. Oh man, let's cry about it. No, I'm saying, I know what you mean though, of course.
Yeah. No, but yeah, like most people don't give that last piece until they're sure. And then like, I get why you're afraid of giving them that last, because it's your last safe space. Like where you can still walk away with your head high if something bad happens, but you got to give up that piece. That's the only way.
Yeah. I think every once in a while I'm too quick to make those leaps of faith, like I think I have kind of, since the big breakup, I think I have sort of tied a bungee to my feet though, like I think I'll still take certain leaps, but I'll know that there's that tether, which is basically that last piece that, I'm at this point, because of everything that I've been through, very reluctant to give up that last piece anymore, and because I mean, it's been kind of like whittled into this shape of someone who's like, like it's basically just like silver stakes everywhere with garlic and like crosses, and it's just like, it's my whole home. It's just, like it's protecting me from the vampire that's 100% going to devour it eventually. But yeah, I mean,
the next one's a spirit. No, I'm just kidding. He like sneaks through all the silver and everything.
I mean, yeah, it's true. I can't only protect from one monster when there's so many monsters out there.
There's many faces. Not that I would know. I have zero experience with that.
Right. So, how will you break the news to Tina once you have an ostrich?
So, my strategy will be the same as it is with everything I do. What I do, and the thing is, the process is already
I know.
Started.
I know it has.
That's the thing.
That's the thing. I don't think it's just starting.
My process.
Yeah.
See this thing right here? See that? That's a Gibson. That's a Gibson SG. It's a $1,500 guitar. So my address. So if you want to steal it, is so that guitar. This is how it starts. It's like 6 months prior to me buying the guitar. It's like, man, I've been having a hankering for a new guitar. She's just like, oh yeah, that's cool. I'm like, yeah, I said I've had the Schecter forever, and she's like, yeah, that is, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, yeah, but Christmas is coming up. We can't do kids Christmas. So then Christmas comes and passes, and it's January, and it's like, oh man, like I've been playing guitar, but it's just not like I like playing in standard, but half step sometimes also, and it's like it'd be awesome. I had another Schecter and half step. If only I had another guitar. So it's like
reinforcing it.
This process. It's just this process. And then eventually it gets to the point where it's like, hey, I think I'm going to go grab a guitar. And she's just like, Okay. And pretty sure, here's the
Stockholm
thing.
syndrome.
I'm pretty sure she's just stroking my ego. Like, she basically knew when the first question was dropped. She's like,
I know she knows. I know.
so she knew I wanted a guitar. She's
That's
like,
why-
I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do this whole 6-month dance. But that's why the difference between the ostrich and the guitar is so significant. Because when I said to her, I want to get an ostrich, she called me out immediately. Like, you're not getting an ostrich, Steve, because she knows what I'm doing. So, like, but anyways, to answer your question, she's gonna accept it because I want an ostrich. I want to tune one of the ostriches in half step and the other one in standard. I want to ride them. You know, I think she'll come around. I think if I get a little baby ostrich, I'm looking up the laws in Cape Coral. I'm not sure if I can own one in Cape Coral though.
It's okay. We'll make it work. It could be an emotional support ostrich.
So, can you imagine me bringing that on a plane with a leash and everything?
I can.
Like,
What, do you expect it to fly by itself?
He gets 2 seats, window. You gonna question Kickboxing Gary over here? I don't think you are. And I've taught him. I've raised him. He's only watched Bloodsport since the day he was born. I'm just letting you know. He knows how to throw a kick better than any ostrich. The best ostrich.
Oh man, Ostrich George is going to be the best show that's ever been. So okay, hang on. Before I get on to the next segment that I wanted to do with you, we're building a lot of like these little inside jokes. How do you? I hate to be like too inside baseball or whatever, but like I don't know. Are you worried at all about like the audience staying with it, or because like okay, if this is their first ever episode of this podcast, think of how ridiculous that is, right? Like they don't know. There was a commercial earlier that featured you with ostriches.
Listen, man, if I can wake up at like 1 a.m. on a Saturday and see, well, it's not Saturday because that's the anime night. Sorry for not knowing my Adult Swim. But if I like woke up in the middle of the night and saw Tim and Eric randomly doing, this is what I do, I sit on you, and I'm like, those guys are great. People got it. People are gonna follow.
You think people are gonna be okay with this?
The way I'm just gonna be me, man. I'm just gonna be who I am, and I'm just gonna sell it. And if you want to buy it, awesome. And if you don't, move along.
Yeah, I get that's true. And honestly, I hate worrying about it at all. And it doesn't really affect what we're doing anyway, you know? So being conscious of it is just kind of like a headache, you know? Like there's no real reason. It doesn't positively affect anything. It's just like, oh, I'm aware of this thing that we're doing, even though it doesn't matter, you know? So I don't know. Every once in a while I think about it from the perspective of someone who's just going to like try our podcast. But I guess, you know, if they're just going to jump in out of context.
Anthony. How many even Joe Rogan doesn't cover the ostrich colony concept.
That's true.
And I bet, you know what? Dude, I bet I can get Joe on board. Joe would help me. I bet he would. He'd be all about the ostrich colony.
That's probably true, honestly. Joe Rogan would buy, he'd probably give you an ostrich for your birthday.
He'd give me 5 ostriches. I know he would.
So you heard it first here, everybody. Joe Rogan promised Steven an ostrich. In fact, 5 of them. Good old.
I'm just letting you know if that ever happened. I don't know what I would do. If Joe Rogan hand delivered 5 ostriches to me, I don't know if I can.
Holding them all.
It's UFC 155. 5 ostriches.
Oh my gosh. All right, Steven. I have a very quick Pitches Get Stitches for you.
Pitches Get Stitches.
Okay.
You gotta put the animation there, though. If you don't put the animation there.
We need animation. We need to get like a Pitches Get Stitches with just like
and then like show like a nurse like sewing it up real quick.
Ooh, yeah. A male hand, though, because we're progressive. It's actually just
both holding hands together.
Yeah. It's just us.
Who sews this way? Seems very ineffective. You guys didn't sew anything. This guy just got like 8 holes in his skin now.
So you Swiss cheese this man for no reason. So I was thinking about this today. The Pitches Get Stitches is going to be a small segment that we're going to do every once in a while where I come up with or Steven comes up with just a silly idea or something occurs to us and we want to just kind of flesh it out a little or see where it would go with the other person. So today I was thinking about very specifically the Lost Boys. But I was thinking about how you would bring the property back as a comic book or TV series or whatever it would be, right? And I'm okay. So I think as far as I can tell, there are two real decent ways to do it. Okay, and I want to see like what you think, or maybe you can think of a better one. Okay, the first one would be you go the Mr. Miyagi route, right? Where the living frog brother, who is Alan? No, Edgar. Based on the sequels. Maybe we should just get rid of the sequels altogether and just start.
I don't even consider 2 and 3 canon. I'm never.
Right, they're not canon.
I tried to watch 2, couldn't get in. It's like,
true. Okay. In that case, let's just go straight first movie canon with whatever we're gonna do now, right? Okay. So is it column A where it's the Frog Brothers are now Mr. Miyagi? A new child moves into Santa Carla, right? They're now just these old guys who have seen vampires a few times throughout their lives since, but probably not as much as they'd like to show. They're still in the comic book store, still doing what they're doing, but now they have someone to teach, right? So that's like column A, where like this guy, this like new kid. It is the Mr. Miyagi. It is Karate Kid, but with vampires, and with the Frog Brothers being the Miyagi, where they're teaching how to kill vampires. They're teaching how to stop, how to find them, how to render them.
Except this time with a willing candidate, not Corey Haim completely thinking they're the biggest losers on the planet.
Yeah, so it would probably be high school, just like Karate Kid, where the kid's getting bullied by someone, or it would have to be like a party because it would have to be nighttime. So it would be like he goes to the beach like in Karate Kid, but suddenly these people show up who he's never seen in school before, and like, oh, they got kicked out of school or they don't go anymore, blah blah blah. Those would be the vampires, and then of course there would have to be like the Michael character who gets like kind of what do you call it, like transfixed by them, like kind of sucked into their cult of vampires, and then there's the Corey Haim character who isn't Corey Haim, but like the new guy who has to like stop his brother and do the whole thing. But now we have the Miyagi. And
his brother should probably turn heel at that point too, instead of like going the Michael route where we're trying to redeem Michael. We're going to make this guy turn full heel.
Nope. I think
the villain of the story.
Yep. I think that's the thing. It's going to have to be brother versus brother, and that's where like then the Frog Brother Miyagi situation where they have this bond, so like they wouldn't want someone to kill or destroy their brother, So anyway, that's just column A, where we have like the Miyagi Karate Kid vampire situation, right? Column B. Oh man, I just thought of like the best column C too. Just occurred to me. But okay, so dang. Okay. Column B, okay? Directly after the events of Lost Boys 1, right? The Emersons hightail it out of Santa Carla. Like, they leave. Of course, they're not part of the store anymore. Like, no one's going to stay around after experiencing that. I'm sorry. Like, not them. Not that family, for sure. So, the Emersons leave Santa Carla. The Frog Brothers are still just these, like, teenage kids who are vampire fighters, who, like, now they have actual experience killing vampires, right?
They've actually done it, yeah.
They've actually done it. But they still have their jobs. They still, like, what do you do after that? What do you do after experiencing, like, this crazy, like, phenomenal, like, supernatural event in your life, So they kind of become a little obsessed with it. But they're in the comic book shop, right? Suddenly a new issue of Vampires Everywhere comes out. And not only do they see Max getting destroyed in the issue, but they see one of the Frog Brothers getting killed. Because it wasn't just a comic book, it was a survival manual. Everything in the book ended up being true. So they see that in the comic book, someone sees their story and is keeping track. And they saw a Frog Brother getting killed. So now they have to seek out the creator of this comic book and figure out why they're in this comic book, how they knew about Max. And, so that's like where the launching point would be for the series.
That sounds pretty cool.
Okay.
That would be like an episode by episode series, not a movie.
Yes,
I would
for sure. I'm thinking episode by episode for sure. 3, the one that just occurred to me, dude. Who's the cool? You're probably going to answer the same as I would. But who's the coolest character in Lost Boys? If you think about it, think about it for a second. Who do you think is the actual coolest character in Lost Boys?
Coolest character?
Not like who looks the coolest. Who is actually the coolest character in Lost Boys?
The grandpa is the coolest character, Mike.
Coolest character in Lost Boys. But like, dude, why wouldn't it be a flashback to all of the grandpa's actual origins?
Dude, what if he just went around killing vampires like crazy? Like, that's why the only thing that's like about him, like, he's like,
He would have been the
Yeah.
Blade of his time. He would have been Buffy as a young man, and then like he obviously had a lot of experience with vampires. So much so that like he doesn't even have a TV, but he has this whole room like dedicated with all these stakes and all this stuff that we don't see until the end. So
Mhm.
maybe he doesn't have the TV because he's terrified because he's scared that vampires are going to show up at any point. So he knows he has to be on the lookout. Like he has all of the knowledge that you could possibly need and all of the experience that would make a show about him so great. Not to mention the fact that it would take place in like the 70s, like the 70s, early 80s, which means you don't have to deal with cell phones. You don't have to deal with the fact that anyone could text anyone. You don't have to deal with all of that stuff. And he doesn't even have the internet, so you get to do all of the fun like old school library book stuff, where he's trying to like
you could even like show cool stuff like I mean, I don't know how you would redo Max, but like get like Max has had groups of vampires he's created throughout the years.
Sure. Dude, I mean, what if Grandpa and Max were originally contemporaries? Like what if they were the same, like what if
they were the Karate Kid situation?
Yes. What if they were the Karate? There you go. That's perfect. Like, what if they were the Karate Kid situation, but the villain ended up getting bit by a vampire to make himself more powerful? So then they kind of separated, and yeah, I don't know. I think following the grandpa is probably the most fun version of that. But anyway, what about the Frog Brothers? How would you deal with them in a sequel or in like a spin-off series of some sort?
So like, if I was a Frog Brother, and I just killed my first my first encounter with vampires, I killed Marco. I mean, like, I never even, face to face, I stab Marco, he bleeds everywhere. Like, then from beyond that, like, I get into this house and we freaking murder the entire clan of vampires and the head vampire, right? Dude, from there, it's Van Helsing o'clock. Like, that's what I think they should do. They'd start traveling the world and hunting out the vampires in their different packs.
Okay, so of course, that's awesome. That's kind of what I was hoping would happen with the second one, with the comic book, where they, because they'd seek out the guy, because of course you wouldn't. How would you find them? Is kind of the question, because like they've never seen one up to then, and then suddenly they find them, So then you have to figure out how to find them. That's kind of what I was getting at with the comic book guy, because obviously he has his finger on the pulse on the undead
the lack thereof,
a pulse. But yeah, so like obviously whoever's creating the comic books knows about vampires and knows how to find them. So he would go to them and figure out what's going on, basically. So I think he would kind of be there, like the concierge kind of, and like help. He'd be the Whistler, like the guy who can help them find all the different vampires. I didn't consider the fact that there could be other monsters in the Lost Boys universe though. And I love that idea. That had never even occurred to me that there could easily be werewolves in the Lost Boys.
I was gonna say, is it just me or is it like no movie ever really gets werewolves right? Which just sounds so like
that was just happening.
Pretentious,
No. It's very few. Like there have been a couple of fun werewolf movies. So I think everyone would probably be on board with saying that American Werewolf in London is just like the standard like top werewolf movie. Ginger Snaps was fun. Dog Soldiers was fun. And there was another one, I think it was called Howl. That was kind of fun.
Howl's the one with the uncle. Is Howl with Uncle Rico?
No.
That's Silver Bullet.
Monster Squad. That's Monster Squad. By the way, oh gosh, I love Monster Squad so much. I just watched it.
What's the movie where the kid's in the wheelchair and
Silver Bullet. Yeah. There you go.
Right.
Yeah, Silver Bullet. Which I don't even remember the werewolf in that movie, honestly.
No, not really that much.
Like, yeah, to be like, I'll tell you, the werewolf transformations that really stick out in my head are obviously American Werewolf in London, the Van Helsing thing because they ripped off skin and like stole my idea.
Thieves.
And then like The Howling had a pretty good one. I think it was Rob Bottin. I think that's who did it. It was like they did a lot of like bubble work on the guy's face, where it was just like bubbly, and it was good because most of it looked like it was happening in real time, which was really cool. That being said, though, there haven't been that many cool werewolf transformations, and even when there are decent transformations, I don't really care about the movie.
No,
like there's a new movie out that I want to see by the guy who made Thunder Road. I don't remember what it's called right now, but anyway, I want to check that out. I have to buy it. But yeah, you're right, dude. I'm totally with you. There haven't been that many good werewolf movies in general, and I don't get it. I don't think it's that difficult.
It felt, in my opinion, and I don't know if this is even a popular opinion or an unpopular opinion, but like I feel like Underworld almost got the vampire werewolf vibe
Right.
well. They obviously like they went too popcorn flick with it, but like they were so close. I feel like to really executing that mythos and how old these, the original vampire, the original werewolf come from the same father, and this whole cool concept. And I don't know, I always liked the hybrid that was in that too. But yeah, like I feel like transformation wise, it's definitely American Werewolf in London. I think just wins out of all of them. Van Helsing is a close second. But then beyond that, it's like what the creature actually looks like. I always have a problem with too. Some make it too much like a dog. Some go too human. I don't know. Like I said, I'm really for some reason picky about the way a werewolf looks.
You know what looked really cool? It makes no sense for me to say this, but I'm gonna say it anyway. One of my favorite werewolves, in my memory at least, that I'm gonna pop up here in a second, isn't even a werewolf. It's Dracula from Bram Stoker's Dracula. After he eats the wolf, he looks like a beast. It's the coolest version of a werewolf that isn't a werewolf that I've ever seen. Do you remember that?
It's Gary Oldman, right?
It's Gary Oldman for sure. But do you remember what when he was? Like,
I remember this carnal scene. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like lightning, and like he looks up and he has like blood on his chin. And he's a beast after eating the wolf. It's beautiful in my memory. I hope it still holds up. I haven't watched Bram Stoker's Dracula in a couple of years.
It's a good one though.
Yeah, it is a good one. It really is. When I asked about vampires and stuff, a lot of people seem to like the Bram Stokers, and specifically Gary Oldman as like the sexy, smart, awesome old man.
Gary Oldman can't do anything wrong though, man. Like that dude is just the craziest actor of all time.
Yeah, it's gonna be really weird when he unzips his face and he turns out to be Meryl Streep, though. Okay. So what? Wouldn't it be weird if like Joaquin Phoenix was just like, and it was just like I'm Daniel Day-Lewis the whole time, like what?
This is the deepest I've ever been, ladies and gentlemen. It's the deepest I'll ever go. How many movies did you make as Joaquin? All of them.
All of them. I've been
since the 90s.
Oh my god! Wait,
I met up with him.
What if
Don't go there.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what if it was just like 3 movies? What if like we didn't notice? But it's just like,
I thought you were going to make a very inappropriate River Phoenix joke for some reason.
No.
I'm very glad you didn't.
No, I wasn't going to go there. No, I was going to say, that's terrible. Now I know what you're thinking. Oh, no. I was
like, no, don't do it.
No, I was going to say, wouldn't it be crazy?
That's commercial. He's going to bring up River.
Too soon.
Too soon. I think that's forever too soon.
No, it's true.
Forever.
But I just thought it would be funny if it was like only 2 movies. Like Daniel Day-Lewis just has Joaquin Phoenix in a closet somewhere. I'm you now. Sorry.
I feed him Doritos.
That's all you need, really. I don't know. You ever see those studies that like various nutrition teachers have done, where it's just like you can live off Twinkies, you can live off of steaks, you can live off.
It's all about calories.
It's all about calories. It's all about stay away from the carbs. It's all about only kale. It's all about like
I don't know, Mediterranean diet, people. Oils, fish. That doesn't sound bad. Honestly, that probably is the one that's right. But
yeah, I mean, it's so weird. I just like the idea of the perfect human diet is so bizarre. I mean,
I do know whatever it isn't what my diet is. I do know that much.
I know I'm doing it wrong, and you're all.
I know I got it wrong.
Yeah,
I'm assuming it's the bread, but
yeah, but it's delicious. So next week, I said I'm gonna do chapter 4, which is going to be the chapter in which I find out that Voldemort was pregnant. So that's going to be that chapter, which is going to kind of, in the book, reinstill, like, my joy a little bit, where I recognize that there were positive things from the relationship. So maybe that'll be a moment where I'll have a little levity, But, so I'll get to write chapter 4 next week. I'm going to do it. I'm probably going to... Oh, what day is it? I'm probably going to do it tomorrow or the next day I'm going to start. But, yeah. So, and you're going to do page 3, you say?
Yep. And then I mean, I never know when that inspiration is going to tick. Like today, I thought I was just going to get the rough done, but then I'm like, you know what? I got time. I'm just going to go ahead and pencil this entire page, and like that's what I did.
Yeah.
And it turned out awesome. It really did. I'm actually pretty proud of that page.
No, I'm super proud of it too. It looks really good. And it, I mean, I, like I said, like I have, if I have faith in anything, it's random relationships from Tinder. But if I have faith in, if I have faith in two things, it's random relationships from Tinder and Steven Todd.